Unexpected connection. Single mom accidentally sat with a billionaire and discovered an amazing. Sarah glanced around the diner, the chatter of regulars swirling in her ears, filling her with a mix of comfort and unease. Juggling her responsibilities as a waitress and a single mom weighed heavily on her shoulders. She loved her 12-year-old daughter, Lily, more than anything, yet every day felt like a race against time, a relentless trickle of bills, and a grumbling stomach. This Wednesday, the diner buzzed with an unexpected energy that left her on edge. Just as she turned to clear a nearby table, her elbow struck a chair beside her. She froze, embarrassed, and glanced sideways into the rugged features of a man she recognized only as Mark Davis, the mysterious billionaire who recently bought out several businesses downtown. Their eyes met, and an uncomfortable silence settled between them as he shifted in his seat. She could sense his guarded nature but felt the flicker of something unspoken. "Sorry about that," she mumbled, forcing a smile as she hurriedly cleared the plates, sweat trickling down her back from the heat of the kitchen and her mounting anxiety. Here she was, buried under endless tasks, a single mom fighting to make ends meet, and now she had inadvertently interrupted a man whose very existence represented everything she lacked. "It's all right," he replied, voice low, but there was something in his eyes filled with understanding, a depth she hadn't anticipated. There was a moment of connection, a truth she could feel pulsating in the air. The afternoon grew heavier as patrons filled every booth, and Sarah moved through the motions of serving coffee and flipping burgers, her mind racing. Could she risk it all to take a chance at a dream she hadn't even dared voice? When Mark called her over for an extra cup of coffee, she found herself drawn to him, hesitant yet intrigued. His presence, though daunting, whispered a chance at something different, something wholesome yet complicated. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Days melted into weeks, and their casual meetings turned into discussions about architecture, igniting Sarah's long-dormant dreams. But soon, news broke: an expansion funded by Mark's company would uproot her small town and its heart, the diner where she built her life, her sanctuary. As the realization set in, a swell of bile rose within her. The very man who inspired her to reach for more was now threatening the ground beneath her feet. Confronting Mark was a testament to her new strength, but her words caught in her throat. Would he understand? Would he even care? The fear of betrayal coursed through her. She felt cornered, as if standing at the edge of a precipice. His eyes, once welcoming, were now filled with an impenetrable wall. They exchanged heated words that reflected their inner demons. She fought for survival, he, for his redemption. The tension thickened like storm clouds, as both were left confronting painful truths. In that moment, she felt torn apart, the deepening chasm between their worlds threatening to swallow her whole. The hope of resolution dimmed before her, leaving everything hanging by a thread: her dreams, her relationship with Lily, and the flickering light of a potential friendship. As Mark's remorse mingled with her desperation, the question loomed: could they bridge the gap between their stark realities, or would one decision cost her everything? The air hung heavy the following morning as Sarah pushed through the diner doors, the familiar scent of frying bacon and brewed coffee dulling the anxiety gnawing at her. She was haunted by the vision of Mark's somber expression, a reminder of the brevity of their shared hopes and the impending threat to her world. Today, she had to face the reality behind those dreams that suddenly felt so fragile. As she wiped down the countertop, the clinking of dishes echoing in an otherwise mundane routine, she wrestled with her thoughts. How could she save her home, her stability, and reconcile with the unexpected path Mark had introduced into her life? Each customer who walked through the door reminded her of the community she cherished, and the encroaching shadows of development loomed larger with each shift. Her heart pulsed with the will to stand firm, but uncertainty drowned her resolve. Conversations echoed between her and Lily from the previous evening. They had sat at the kitchen table, the remnants of dinner untouched, as Lily had sensed her mom's hesitation swirling in the air like smoke. "Mom, if you want to dream, you've got to fight," she said, a boldness in her voice that cut into Sarah's doubts. Those words resonated within her, sparking a flicker of determination amidst the confusion. As the morning crowd dissipated, Sarah found herself approaching the table where she had first met Mark. She traced the lines of the faded wood, replaying the moment of their accidental collision. That connection, however fleeting, was now intertwined with visions of a future that seemed so uncertain. "Hey, Sarah." The deep voice shocked her from her reverie, and she turned to find Mark standing behind her, an unreadable expression on his face. Her mind raced, the mixture of anger and longing surged through her at once. Why did he have to appear like this? Was he ready to drop the corporate facade today? "Mark," she said, the weight of his presence shifting her resolve toward confrontation. "We need to talk." They moved to a back booth away from prying eyes, the dim light cradling their tension in uneasy silence. "So, you're here to gaze into my soul?" he quipped, though the humor felt forced. "I'm here to talk about the expansion plans," she cut through the jest. "You need to understand how this threatens the diner. It's not just a building, it's our home." For a moment, his stoicism faltered, replaced by a flicker of regret. "I didn't want it to hurt anyone, Sarah. This was about progress." "Progress?" Her voice rose unexpectedly, the words tumbling from her as passion ignited within. "You mean your version of progress? You can't erase lives in the name of ambition. These walls have seen laughter, tears, and families coming together. That's something real." He leaned forward, earnestness washing over him. "I never intended for it to come at a cost." Absorbing his tone, a note of sincerity, her heart waged war with logic. He was a man of power, could she influence him, or was she merely a single mother fighting against a wave? The paradox unsettled her, nonetheless, she persisted. "Then help me. Help us. Let us find a way to protect what matters. Work with us rather than cast us aside." Mark sighed, and for the first time, vulnerability painted the edges of his normally hardened gaze. She could almost see the gears turning in his mind. Maybe there's a compromise. "Maybe?" she echoed, disbelief mingling with hope. "Let us discuss my vision, but I'll need you to guide me too." That moment felt transformative, a shift in their dynamic, a chance to merge her world with his without losing either. Sarah's heart raced, hope flickering like the neon sign outside the diner. With Mark's influence, they could create a future that didn't erase the past. But as they made tentative plans, a new fear gripped her. What complexities would this alliance bring, and could she still protect Lily? The potential for collaboration surged, yet lurking questions remained. Was her dream worth the risk of deeper entanglement? As she pondered the implications, she recognized that the next steps wouldn't be easy. Partnership with Mark could unravel everything or lead to unexpected growth. And just as she felt the equilibrium shift, another voice interrupted, snapping her back to reality. "This expansion is the least of your worries, Sarah. You don't even know who you're dealing with." Sarah's thoughts raced as she turned to face the newcomer. The words lingered in the air, heavy with ominous implications, swirling in her mind like a storm. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. She squinted into the face of a stranger, a man whose sharp suit contrasted sharply with the diner's casual atmosphere. His dark eyes glimmered with a mix of concern and something else, something predatory. "That expansion," he said, leaning against the booth, arms crossed. "It's more than just about progress. It's a game, and you're caught in the middle of it." With every beat of her heart, she felt the weight of the diner's faded walls pressing closer. The life she had built, the dreams she clung to, were they on the brink of annihilation? "Who are you?" she asked, desperation creeping into her tone. There are powerful forces at play here, Sarah. Mark may be charming, but he's just a piece of the puzzle. My name is Ryan, and I work for the firm behind the entire development initiative. You might think you can reason with him, but at the end of the day, he answers to someone bigger. Ryan's revelation slammed into her like a thunderclap. Her breath hitched as she tried to absorb the information. Mark was a cog in a bigger machine, and every hopeful thought she had nurtured about her collaboration now felt perilous. What's your interest in this? Ryan grinned, revealing a flash of white teeth. Let's just say, I have a vested interest in ensuring any opposition is dealt with quickly. You're smart to voice your concerns, but if you continue down this path, it may not end well for you. Or your diner. Cold fingers of fear danced down her spine. The sense of camaraderie she felt with Mark now felt tainted by shadows. Are you threatening me? She clenched her fists, fighting against the urge to squirm. She wouldn't show weakness, not now. It's a warning, he said, voice unfaltering. People often think they can bend the rules, but in reality, the game plays them. She clenched her jaw, unwilling to yield to intimidation. I'm not afraid of threats. I'm protecting what I love. That's noble, but you'll soon realize passion won't win against ambition, especially not the kind that comes with vast resources and influence. The more he spoke, the more her resolve steeled. She had been complacent for too long, allowing her fears to dictate her responses. As he left the booth and strolled through the diner, she felt sickened and empowered all at once. The truth of his implications rattled in her chest, igniting a spark of defiance. When Mark returned, his brows knitted in concern. Sarah, what just happened? Her gaze met his, and with the weight of Ryan's words heavy in her mind, she became acutely aware of the chasm that lay between them. I have questions, she stated, her voice tightening with determination. About everything. Everything? He regarded her warily, complicity dancing in his eyes. You may be the charming face, but you need to understand, this isn't just about the diner, it's about my life. Your life. The systems at play are more dangerous than either of us realized. Mark's gaze flickered with a sense of urgency, but it was more than that, something deeper, a recognition that grew between them. Tell me what you're thinking, he urged, leaning forward. I need to know your true intentions. Who do you really work for? Are you just a pawn, or do you have the power to change the game? Sarah's heart raced. Was their connection strong enough to weather the storm, or was it merely a flicker of hope that would be extinguished under scrutiny? Determination surged through her. She wouldn't back down now. As she prepared to unveil more of her fears, the ground beneath her seemed to shift, and she realized this was only the beginning. Trust was a southern road, twisted, perilous, yet irresistible. She needed to navigate this path carefully. And as she searched Mark's expression, resolve blossoming alongside doubt, another voice chimed in, there are things you don't know, and the truth could destroy you both. Sarah's pulse quickened as she held Mark's gaze, the atmosphere around her thickening with unspoken words. Each second felt infinitely longer than the last, the diner morphing into a crucible for her personal revelations. In that moment, she understood the stakes. This was not merely about the diner or a partnership gone awry. It was about her entire existence, her autonomy, and the future she had envisioned for herself and her son. Let's be honest, Mark, she started, her voice cutting through the din of clinking dishes and murmured conversations. If Ryan is right, then we're deeper in this than I ever wanted to be. But I refuse to let someone else dictate my future. She noted the shift in Mark's expression, a flicker of admiration mixed with concern. So tell me, what is your role in this? Mark leaned back, his demeanor faltering as if the weight of her inquiry pressed against him. I'm here to ensure the right vision is executed, Sarah. Yes, my company has its interests, but I wouldn't have reached out if I didn't believe in what you're doing with the diner. At least, I thought I could help. A wave of frustration washed over her. But help for whom? You or me? I need transparency here. If we're going to progress, then I need to know where you stand. Mark's gaze fell momentarily, and Sarah caught the tremor of uncertainty. She had struck a chord. Something deep within him was battling with the reality of their engagement. The promise of progress clashed with her growing trepidation, an internal war mirrored in his eyes. Okay, he said slowly, the resolve creeping back into his voice. I want to believe in your vision, but you must understand, I'm operating without full agency. We're all pieces on a board, and those controlling the game have set up traps. Sarah felt the gravity of his words anchor her. The invisible web of influence spun by powerful corporations could overshadow her aspirations and swallow her whole. Yet, a thought ignited her fighting spirit. Then let us find a way to break free of those traps. She saw the flicker of something like hope in his expression. How? By getting more information. We need to pull back the curtain and uncover their motivations. You talk about working under pressure. Show me what that looks like. What resources can you leverage? What do you know about their strategies? Her heart raced, adrenaline coursing through her veins as she spoke. Mark perked up as ideas formed in tandem between them. I can reach out to some contacts, people who might understand the bigger picture. If we're smart about this, we can turn the tables. And just like that, a partnership born from skepticism began to morph into something more tangible, an alliance against the unseen adversaries lurking in the shadows. Yet, underneath her resolve thrummed fear, a nagging uncertainty about the man before her. Could he be trusted? Trust is earned, Mark. I need to see your true intentions. Her voice softened, knowing she had a delicate road ahead. I'm willing to work with you, but I will not sacrifice my integrity or my business. Fair enough, he replied, his eyes flaring with an intensity that mirrored her own. Then let us dive deeper together, but we have to be careful. If Ryan is warning you, it's for a reason. They shared a moment of understanding. This confrontation had exposed their vulnerabilities and galvanized their shared purpose. But time was running out, and the threats lurking behind their ambitious plans loomed larger than before. As she prepared to leave the diner, a thought struck Sarah. She was teetering on the edge of something profound, and any miscalculation could shatter the tenuous coalition they were forging. Whatever lay ahead, she knew she had to stay one step ahead. Her heart thudded in her chest as she made a silent vow to reclaim her power. The game could be hers to play, if only she could navigate its complexities. And just as she turned to leave, a familiar voice echoing Ryan's warning reverberated in her mind. The game plays you. Determination set in. It was now or never. But would she be able to uncover the truth before the game ensnared her completely? The air outside the diner felt different as Sarah stepped into it, a stark contrast to the weighty tension she had just shed inside. The remnants of her conversation with Mark clung to her like a second skin, marinating in her mind. She took a deep breath, letting the morning sun wash over her, its warmth mingling with the cool breeze. She had a choice now. She could either retreat into her previous life, or she could push forward into the unknown. Determination coursed through her veins. The diner represented more than just a business. It was a sanctuary she built from the ground up, a testament to her resilience and capability as a single mother. Now, the stakes had been raised. If she wanted to transform that sanctuary into a stronghold against external powers that threatened her vision, she would need to adapt, leverage her knowledge, and take calculated risks. Her phone buzzed violently in her pocket, jolting her from her thoughts. It was a message from Mark. We need to meet again. I'm reaching out to my contacts today. Come by the office to discuss what we uncover. Be careful. A knot formed in her stomach. Mark's implication of danger wasn't lost on her, and the reminder of Ryan's warning loomed large. But the thought of remaining stagnant while others dictated her fate electrified her resolve. She decided to head to his office. This was her chance to stake her claim in the unfolding narrative. As she made her way through the city, she felt the weight of observation from passers-by, the whisper of judgment for being a single mother pursuing ambitious dreams. They had no idea of the relentless force propelling her now, no idea of the hidden strength she had nurtured in the shadows of her vulnerabilities. These thoughts crystallized her focus, igniting a belief that she was undeniably capable. Walking into Mark's office, she took in the sleek lines of the modern design contrasted against the casual chaos of their earlier meeting. This time, she would not let the sleek decor intimidate her. "I'm here," she said, her voice laced with a blend of confidence and cautious anticipation. Mark looked up from his computer, his expression shifting from surprise to approval. "I didn't expect you so soon. I've got some intel that could change everything." He gestured toward a diagram on his screen: business structures, potential allies, and players in their operational game. Her heart raced. This was more than she had imagined. They analyzed possibilities together, the tension of earlier dissipating into a constructive synergy. Mark presented individuals who held crucial information, potential allies behind the corporate curtain. The deeper they delved, the more empowered she felt, the pieces gathering into a coherent strategy. As they planned, Sarah began to recognize her unique strengths, her intuition, her ability to see connections others might overlook. But as they mapped everything out, Mark paused. "There's a catch. One of the players we need to engage is my boss. He runs a tight ship and is fiercely loyal to the company's interests. He won't care about our motives if they threaten the bottom line." Doubt snaked into her consciousness. This could jeopardize everything she had worked for. Suddenly, they were facing an intricate web of loyalties and risks that demanded more than intellectual effort. It required strategic finesse. "I can't just approach him without a solid plan," Sarah said, her instinct for caution flaring. Mark nodded, a pensive expression on his face. "We'll need to craft a proposal that appeals to his interests, but we must be careful. It's a gamble, Sarah. If we misjudge this, it could blow up in our faces." Her pulse quickened as she weighed the possibility of failure against the need for action. The tension grew between her ambitions and the ominous realities they were crafting. It was a perfect storm of potential. With their meeting hanging in a delicate balance, Sarah's mind raced through scenarios. How far was she willing to go? What parts of herself would she have to reveal? The game wasn't just about survival. It was about control. And then it hit her, cold and clear. She needed to summon every last bit of her resolve. The time had come to confront the precarious line she was walking. She had started to navigate the traps. Now, could she rise not just as a participant, but as a player with agency? The truth began to crystallize. Trust was a double-edged sword. "Let's take the gamble, Mark," she declared, her voice steady and unwavering. "But be warned, if this backfires, it won't just be your career on the line, it will be mine too." The gravity of her words settled in the air, charging their partnership with a new urgency. What they were about to uncover could either shatter everything they both held dear or give her the upper hand she sought. And as she prepared for the confrontation ahead, she realized that the moment of truth was drawing near, shrouded in an ever-thickening veil of uncertainty. Would the sacrifices necessary to stake her claim resonate well, or would the impending fallout change everything she thought she knew? Sarah's mind simmered with anxiety as she left Mark's office. The reality of their plan had set in. The gamble was not just about the proposal itself, it was about her entire future, her sanctuary, and the precarious balance of being a mother trying to build something greater for her child. Walking back down the street, she felt hyper-aware, as though each face she passed was a potential judge of her choices. She thought of Ryan's stern warnings, echoing in her mind like a haunting refrain, urging her to reconsider her path. Yet every doubt increased her determination. The world outside had always imposed limitations on her, but standing at the brink of this decision felt exhilarating. The afternoon sun bathed the pavement in golden light, yet she felt trapped in a fog of uncertainty as she replayed their conversation. Mark's words about his boss hung heavily in her thoughts, a constant reminder of the risks they were about to undertake. It would take more than passion. She had to adopt a new mindset. The world she was stepping into was one of influence and power, and to navigate it, she needed to think like a strategist, not just a survivor. A text notification pulled her out of the tempest of her thoughts. "Meet me at the coffee shop in an hour. I want to bring you up to speed on our potential ally. Mark." She barely had time to digest what their partnership meant before diving deeper into the existing complexities. Who was this ally? What could they offer? As she contemplated the possibilities, the perpetual whirlwind around her began to quiet. This was where she could push forward and forge connections. In the cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wrapped around her, providing some comfort. Sarah pulled her notebook from her bag, flipping to a blank page. She needed to brainstorm, to put her thoughts into something tangible. Every potential ally they could reach out to needed to be assessed, their motivations analyzed. Her hands moved swiftly, jotting down lists of possible approaches to pitch their proposal. "Hey," Mark greeted as he slid into the chair across from her, a warm smile breaking the tension. "What are you thinking? Honestly?" Her gaze met his, unwavering. "I need to approach this like a chess match. We have to see beyond immediate moves and think several steps ahead. If we're playing against your boss, what sacrifices might he require to give us what we need?" Mark nodded approvingly, his own demeanor shifting into something more focused. "Exactly. And if we can understand the stakes, we can better position ourselves. I want to find out what motivates him, what he values most, beyond just profit. It could give us leverage." As they exchanged ideas, she felt as though the fog was lifting. This was the first taste of what true collaboration could yield, working towards a common goal armed with clear intention. She realized her fears had been tightened by isolation. Now she was stepping into a space where synergy could catapult her forward, where foresight could transform her nightmares into strategic advantages. Suddenly, a thought struck her. What if we frame our proposal around a social responsibility angle? Maybe he's more inclined to validate bridge-building initiatives that enhance company visibility in the community? That could resonate with him. "Brilliant," Mark replied, excitement sparking in his eyes. "If we leverage that angle correctly, it doesn't just position us as competitors but as partners. It flips the narrative." A rush of confidence surged through her. Moments like these revealed dormant tenacity. She had not just survived the label of single mother, she had evolved into a strategic thinker. The walls she had built around herself were beginning to crack, making way for not just ambition, but a legitimate chance to reframe her world. But, with that newfound clarity, she also felt the shadows creeping back. The stakes were becoming too high. What if their proposal failed? What if navigating these corporate waters exposed vulnerabilities she wasn't prepared to confront? As her thoughts spiraled, Mark interrupted her reverie. "We should finalize the proposal details by tomorrow. Are you ready?" "More than ready," she replied, forcing down her uncertainty. "But let us prototype every scenario." Anticipating his reactions might be the key. The gravity of the impending meeting loomed. She wasn't just pitching a proposal, she was, in essence, staking her identity. And as Sarah prepared to navigate the treacherous waters ahead, a chilling realization settled within her: the trust established with Mark would be tested not just by their ambitions, but also by the unforeseen complications their choices could unleash. The negotiation ahead might unravel not only her dreams but also her relationship with the people she thought she could depend on. Would the alliances they forged be enough to hold back the doubts threatening to overwhelm her? She took a deep breath, steeling herself for the confrontation that lay ahead, unsure of how deep the ripples of this moment might reach. Sarah arrived home, the weight of the day pressing against her chest. The familiar walls of her apartment felt both comforting and suffocating, a duality that stirred her anxiety. She walked over to her kitchen table, cluttered with toys, scattered papers, and a half-empty mug from earlier. This space, filled with remnants of her life as a mother, now echoed the enormity of her next steps. As she sat down, the piles of documents from the proposal stared back at her like spectators awaiting a performance. She took a deep breath, an attempt to ground herself in the present, ruminating on Mark's words. The vague outlines of their strategy were starting to take shape, but uncertainty gnawed at her insides. The brilliance of their collaborative ideas was marred by the looming shadows of doubt. What if they weren't sufficient to convince Mark's boss? What if she was only a single mother playing a game meant for seasoned professionals? Through the haze of her thoughts, a sound pierced the room. The doorbell rang. Startled, she wiped her hands on her jeans and opened the door to find Ryan standing there, his expression a mixture of surprise and concern. "I didn't expect you to be home," he said, stepping inside. The tension between them from their earlier arguments lingered in the air, a subtle reminder of the fractures in their relationship. "Neither did I," she replied, her voice quieter than she intended. She motioned him to sit, but her heart raced at the confrontation brewing just beneath the surface. "What's up?" she asked, attempting to keep her tone light. Ryan leaned forward. "I'm worried about you, Sarah. You're taking on too much. This proposal with Mark, it could blow up in your face. Have you thought this through?" His concern felt like a double-edged sword, cutting through her resolve and pushing her to confront her intentions. "I have, actually. This is bigger than just a proposal. It's about building a future for Leo. It means something," she defended, her voice rising slightly. "But at what cost? You've always put him first." "This is a gamble, and I'm not sure it's one you can afford," he countered, genuine worry coloring his words. The layers she had built around her ambitions swiftly began to unravel. Did she even know the true cost of this endeavor? The fear of failure bubbled within her, juxtaposed against the burgeoning excitement of possibility. This tension ignited a fire in her gut, a sense of urgency to assert herself amidst the swirling doubts. "Ryan, what do you want me to do? Stay within my boundaries forever? There's more to me than just being Leo's mom. I need to show him that I can carve out a place for us in this world," she said, her voice firm as steel. The silence that followed was thick with unsaid words. Ryan's gaze softened as he registered the resolve in her expression. "Just promise me you'll be careful. I want to see you succeed, but I also don't want to watch you get crushed," he said, his tone more respectful. Her heart softened a fraction, appreciating the care behind his words, but it didn't quell her determination. "I need to do this my way. I'm learning to trust myself, and maybe that's scarier than trusting your judgment." The evening dragged on with a new clarity pulsing through her veins. She envisioned the proposals once again, this time picturing herself as an integral part of the upcoming negotiations instead of a supporting player. Ryan's earlier questions now felt like catalysts, igniting the fire within her to rise above the limitations she had imposed on herself. The shadows that had quietly threatened to consume her now transformed into motivators, pushing her forward. She returned to her notebook, pen poised to tackle the next page. Her thoughts intertwined with fresh strategies. This setback could be reframed. She would revise the proposal with an assertive tone, reflecting her newfound resolve. They would stand side by side at the meeting, poised to navigate anything thrown their way. As the night wore on, she felt stronger than ever, only to realize another unsettling truth: the path ahead was laden with fractures that could either bind or break her relationships. Would her journey pave the way to a future she could be proud of, or would it tear apart her cherished connections? The familiar chill of uncertainty returned, now sharper than before. It wasn't just the proposal at stake, it was the trust and bonds with those she cared about. Would they support her, or would her pursuit of independence sever the ties that mattered most? And as Sarah prepared to move forward, the nagging question remained: could she find a balance between ambition and the personal relationships that defined her life? The approaching day held the potential for answers, but also the risk of unforeseen consequences. What would the meeting reveal about her connections and herself? The morning sun streamed through her window, casting a golden hue across the cluttered kitchen. Sarah sat at the table, a fresh cup of coffee in hand while she reviewed her notes for the day's meeting. Each bullet point on the page resonated with significance, the words morphing into a mantra of determination. She couldn't help but feel the weight of gravity pulling her back with each stroke of ink, a constant reminder that this journey was as much about personal transformation as it was about professional advancement. As she sipped her coffee, she reflected on her conversation with Ryan the night before. His expression had been a blend of concern and admiration, and she found herself at a crossroads between following her aspirations and nurturing the connections that defined her life. Trusting herself meant relinquishing control, and that was both liberating and terrifying. She reached for her phone, her fingers hovering over Ryan's contact. A text flashed through her mind, "I'll be okay. I promise." But knowing the stakes felt like a gamble, one that she couldn't afford to lose. Instead, she dismissed the thought and focused on her presentation, each slide promising to encapsulate her new resolve. Later, as she arrived at the conference room, she took a moment to observe the dynamics. Familiar faces wore expressions of skepticism, which only made her pulse quicken. She reminded herself to stand tall, embracing the strength she had found within her. Mark entered beside her, his presence grounding yet charged with the anticipation of the day ahead. Together, they were a team, each possessing unique strengths they could combine to create something impactful. "Ready?" Mark asked, smiling encouragingly as they prepared to present their ideas. Her smile back was genuine, but inside, the nerves rolled like thunderclouds. "Yes. Let us show them what we've got," she replied, voice steady, surprising herself with her self-assurance. As they launched into their presentation, Sarah felt the rhythm of her words becoming more fluid. She was not just highlighting the proposal, she was narrating their shared vision and injecting her ambition into every sentence. The undertone of her message resounded. This was about more than numbers, it was about carving a path for Leo. With each challenge from the audience, a flicker of doubt threatened to emerge, but she squashed it relentlessly. They would see her passion, her drive to succeed, and that she was not just a mother clinging to dreams but a woman ready to make them reality. But then, just as she began to feel invincible, the unexpected happened. A senior executive, known for his no-nonsense approach, raised an eyebrow and challenged a crucial aspect of their plan. "What assurance can you give us that this won't be a setback for the organization? How can we rely on your capabilities?" Sarah's heart raced, the room seemingly shrinking as all eyes turned to her. The question was steeped in the skepticism she had feared. For a fleeting moment, doubts clawed at her thoughts, but instead of shrinking away, she leaned into the unease. "What I can offer is my commitment," she said, her voice unwavering. "I've spent years navigating challenges as a single mother. I have learned to adapt, to find alternative solutions, and to be resourceful. You see, these experiences have equipped me with the resilience needed in any difficult situation." As she spoke, a shift occurred, murmurs rippled through the room. She caught a glimpse of Mark's supportive nod, and suddenly, she believed in her own potential, the strength pulsing through her voice reflecting her conviction. The presentation ended with a mix of apprehension and newfound confidence in herself. She left the meeting room still buzzing with adrenaline, uncertain of the outcome but acutely aware of her evolving identity. Outside, sunlight flooded her senses, the air alive with possibility. Perhaps today had sown the seeds for something greater, a realization that her path was not only about success but mastering herself. Just then, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Curiosity piqued, she opened the message, her eyebrow raising as the words appeared, "You were impressive today." The message ended there, with no identification. Who could it be? She felt her heart quicken, surprised by a blend of anxiety and intrigue. She suddenly realized the unpredictable nature of these new connections. Could they also lead to unforeseen risks? As she stood on the cusp of a revelation, the question pressed against her psyche: who was reaching out, and what did it mean for her journey ahead? With a mix of excitement and trepidation, Sarah braced herself for the enigmatic turn her life was about to take. Standing outside the building, Sarah pulled her coat tighter around her, the chill of late autumn air prompting a quickening heartbeat. She had barely registered the initial thrill of the message when it hit her. She was standing at a tipping point. How she responded to this moment could shape not only her career but her understanding of who she was becoming. She walked to her car, thoughts swirling. The encouraging words resonated, but they felt like a siren call coaxing her toward uncertain waters. Was the sender a mere admirer, or did it hold the potential for a pivotal connection? Revealing curiosity and vulnerability threatened to unravel the carefully stitched identity she had spent months reconstructing. What would it mean to engage with this unknown figure? Beneath her fear of rejection lay an undercurrent of excitement. It was a reminder of the opportunities life had yet to unveil, illuminating the stubborn hope that sprouted in her heart like wildflowers even after the harshest winters. With a deep breath, she engaged in mental warfare. Each door she could open carried the possibility of warmth and growth, but also the risk of ridicule and betrayal. But didn't every significant leap carry an element of faith? The skills she had honed as a single-parent, adaptability, resilience, seemed to be calling upon her now more than ever. The prospect of a new alliance might make her more formidable, amplifying her efforts and helping her navigate the murky waters of corporate ambition. Sitting in her car, she pulled out her phone. The screen glowed a bright blue in the dim afternoon light. She hesitated before typing a response, fingers twitching with trepidation. Should she reply, or allow the moment to evaporate like vapor on the glass? Taking a deep breath, she texted back simply, "Thank you. May I ask who this is?" She couldn't shake the feeling that the choice she made now could dictate her trajectory for months to come. The clock on the dash ticked ominously. Minutes dragged, filled with anticipation and uncertainty. Just as doubt began seeping back, her phone buzzed again. "Let us meet for coffee tomorrow. I'd love to discuss your presentation in detail." A wave of emotion surged through her: exhilaration, apprehension, curiosity. AJ. Could it be someone of note? The implications were layered and complex. For every professional connection, Sarah felt the nagging fear that she might rapidly be out of her depth, while simultaneously a strong intuition whispered that she had nothing to lose. Navigating through the conflicting emotions refocused her thoughts on the narrative she was trying to weave. Her life was not just about building a career, it was also about forging relationships that uplifted her, shattered her self-imposed barriers, and encouraged her to step into the spotlight. Why not seize the moment? But this meeting also ignited threads of caution. What would this new connection entail? Would it be another opportunity to showcase her capabilities, or an encounter that unraveled the very fabric of her insecurities? Therein lay the critical tension of her existence, a single mother chasing dreams while grappling with the lingering shadows of self-doubt. Confronting her fears of inadequacy head-on was becoming the hallmark of this chapter in her life. The ground beneath her felt perilous. Each step into the unknown brought risks but also the potential for enlightenment and growth. As she finally drove home, the day's events replayed at the forefront of her mind, and she pondered the alignment of her aspirations with the reality ahead. It dawned on her that every moment held the promise of revelation, not only within the professional realm but also in understanding who she was at her core. She parked, allowing the quiet of her surroundings to envelop her like a gentle shroud. With a newfound determination, she grasped the steering wheel, and the weight of expectation lifted. Tomorrow would unfurl a path unknown, but she felt readier than before. What awaited her in that coffee shop? Would it simply be a conversation, or something much more profound, a chance to unlock parts of herself that had been lying in wait? With the intoxicating blend of excitement and nerves coursing through her, she whispered to herself, "I am ready." A sense of empowerment echoed within as she shut the car door. The mystery of Jay loomed like a cloud, hinting at revelations yet to come. The thought lingered: was this meeting the turning point she had been yearning for, or just another chapter leading her through uncharted territories? The answers lay just around the corner, waiting to be unveiled. The coffee shop buzzed with the soft murmur of conversations, the welcoming aroma of roasted beans filling the air. Sarah slid into a corner seat, her heart a cascade of rhythms: anticipation, anxiety, and a hint of thrill. The past weeks had transformed her landscape, shifting from shadows of doubt into a path illuminated by purpose. When Jay arrived, an aura of confidence surrounded her. He introduced himself as James, a senior strategist for a development firm. Their initial handshake held an unspoken agreement this meeting could alter their trajectories. As they sat down, Sarah could sense the gravity of his position, the knowledge in his eyes. "I was really impressed with your presentation," he began, a genuine smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "It's rare to see someone weave personal narratives into business strategies effectively. You not only defended your proposition but painted a compelling picture." A rush of warmth filled her at his compliment. Previously, she would have brushed off praise, attributing it to luck. Today, however, she accepted her achievements as hard-earned, solidifying the growth she had cultivated through each challenge. "Thank you, James. I appreciate that," she replied, her confidence rising like freshly brewed coffee. "It's been a journey, trying to carve out a place in this world while being a mother." James nodded thoughtfully. "That duality creates a unique perspective. You seem to harness those experiences to fuel your ambitions. I want to help you navigate this landscape." Awareness pulsed between them, a shared ambition to disrupt the status quo. She felt compelled to delve deeper. "What do you see the future of this potential project looking like? Can sustainable growth coexist with individual stories?" "Absolutely," he said, leaning closer. "The secret is empathy in strategy. Developers often forget that their projects impact lives beyond revenue. By incorporating community stories into their narratives, we can craft developments that invite collaboration rather than displacement." For the first time, Sarah felt kinship with her ambitions. This was not only a transaction, it became about weaving together missions and visions. He was not just another player in the corporate machine, he seemed genuinely invested in authentic connections. "So, how do you propose we convey these messages to Mark's company?" she asked, eager to embrace this new opportunity. "I'd recommend creating a workshop where community members can voice their stories alongside our team. It can spotlight local perspectives and highlight the project's necessity through their lenses. It may even catalyze a shared vision, showing the developers that inclusion can be beneficial for everyone," he replied. Sarah's excitement blossomed. The vision was coming together, an authentic proposal that could potentially revolutionize the way corporations saw community involvement. "And we can position this as a case study for our approach, something that bolsters both their public image and their bottom line," she proclaimed, energy argent in her tone. James nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. Let us begin crafting a narrative that intertwines our values with actionable strategy, a plan of action that reshapes not just the architecture but the very fabric of the community." They exchanged ideas with fervor, each concept amplifying the potential of their collaboration. For her, this was more than a strategy, it validated her identity as a capable innovator and mother, wielding her story like armor against the doubts that once bound her. Days turned into weeks, and the momentum gained through their partnership spiraled into exponential growth. Their workshop ideas took shape, empowering community voices and advocating for the diner's rich history as a hub of culture and connection. Sarah began to grasp not only her strength but her worth in influencing powerful narratives. When they finally presented their proposal to the board, the room echoed with curiosity and confrontation alike. But as Sarah spoke, weaving her experiences with the community dynamics, she noticed the shift. Their skepticism waned, replaced by something resembling hope. The proposal transcended numbers, it conveyed narratives, paving pathways for everyone involved. In that moment, Sarah achieved a landmark. She no longer viewed herself merely as a single mother or a waitress, but as a catalyst for change. Her voice rang with authority, merging compassion with ambition. The individuals in the room resonated with her truths. After the meeting, she strode out of the office, her heart buoyant. It was a milestone of recognition, not just within the corporate world, but personally validating her fierce resilience and the unwavering love she had for Lily. As days flowed forth from that pivotal meeting, Sarah's life transformed. Her diner brimmed with significance, the heartbeat of a community now recognized and celebrated within broader plans. James became a loyal ally, someone who respected her perspective rather than merely engaging her as a contributor. They built an understanding rooted in shared values. On a sun-kissed afternoon, Sarah and Lily sat together at their favorite booth, bathed in sunlight streaming through the windows. Her daughter's laughter echoed, a reminder of everything worth fighting for. "I'm proud of you, Mom," Lily said, her eyes twinkling with pride and admiration. Those words sunk deep, solidifying the achievements Sarah had wrestled to obtain. She leaned down, kissing her daughter's forehead, feeling a wave of fulfillment wash over her, a blend of love, ambition, and transformation. Sarah had conquered not only her fears but had woven her identity into an order of strength that shifted the paradigm around her. She had emerged as a formidable player in her own story, armed not just with knowledge but with integrity and an unwavering belief in herself. And as they sat together, her heart swelled with a profound truth: she was not just building a future, she was living it, together with her daughter, in a reality she had dreamed about and fought tirelessly to create. This was her moment of triumph, a celebration of a journey forged by embracing her essence, fears, victories, and every beautiful story that made her who she was. You need to subscribe now to witness more incredible transformations and captivating stories that inspire personal growth and change. This is the moment to show your support for journeys like Sarah's. Leave a like now to amplify these narratives and feed the algorithm. Comment below with your thoughts on Sarah's transformation and the powerful impact of community. And don't wait even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to experience this life-changing conclusion.